All right, looks like we're going. Welcome back to another one of these things where we're just kind of chatting, talking about whatever comes to mind. Chatting, talking. I could talk. I usually say just talking. I said it earlier this week. I usually say just talking, but the thing's called chatting. And then I say, like, whatever. Doesn't always work out in my head. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. And we have made it to another end of the week, which is actually quite nice. I'm looking forward to thinking a lot this weekend. Today was initially going to be a day where I was doing more um, like actual like building out things, and I ended up doing um, a little bit of that, responding to emails and things, and uh, then I got a little bit uh, uplifted and got a call from a place that I was interested in working for, uh, basically with an offer. So I'm basically wondering now, it's like, okay, so I can do one of two things here, really, and that's take this take this offer and do and just like do that. Like, it'd be much easier, making more money than I was making before, and like in an industry that I care about, games. Not making video games. That's as much as I would like love to work in that industry, it would likely be as an indie developer because I don't trust most like established places to treat anybody with respect, essentially, when building things. Crunch culture is very real. Um, but in just like card and board games and the like hobbyist collectibles and things, which just seems like really really neat. I had applied a bit on a whim. Like I knew I fit all the criteria, but I wasn't like I didn't think I interviewed particularly well, at least technically. So I wasn't really expecting an offer back. And initially I had been rejected, and they were saying, well, we'll see if we can find something else for you. And I was anticipating that to take a few months, not a few weeks. And here we are a few weeks later, basically saying, hey, do you wanna come work for us? It'd be pretty cool. So I was talking with a few people from the company today and being like, hey, so I'm starting my own business. Can I still do that while I work with you? Which leads me to the second thing, which is do both. Effectively see how I can balance working sort of a 9 to 5 situation alongside a passion project, essentially. Um, and since I'm early enough here, like in the building out of a passion project, that could make sense. Um, like I said, I have a lot of thinking to do, effectively this weekend. Probably seeing what I can do about scheduling my time in a way where I'm not burning myself out with a 9 to 5 to be able to do the work that I know needs to be done for this project that I want to start a business out of. So that was my Friday. Things got a little upended there, though. I can't complain about having options, and that's a little bit about what I want to talk about here. Normally, I talk about like games and things on Fridays, but I'm having a hard time thinking about things right now, just because I'm balancing what the next chapter in my professional career is. So we'll talk through a little bit about that mindset a little. Um, so in thinking about this and talking with Heather, and I'll be talking with a few people over the weekend too, just to make sure I'm not trying to be too optimistic about my own capabilities. So a thing about me is that I really like saying yes to things. I really like doing good things with other good people. So I wouldn't be thinking about taking on this extra work if it were an organization that I wasn't like thrilled about working with. So that I'm thinking about this for this organization just does say something about their character and the character of the people who I've been talking with so far. To the point where I would like to give this a shot. But I am pretty historically bad at gauging my own performance, rather, or not gauging, but like managing my output. I like going above and beyond, essentially. And if I am careful, then I do have the capacity to do what I need to, still likely more than any company would anticipate, working for somebody, but also having that energy and drive still to do something else as well. And one of the things that I just like to share, like as a part of that, is understanding your own boundaries, I guess, or your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to organizing yourself and your time. So because I know that I have, just looking at my track record for where I've come from, it doesn't matter where I'm working. I try really hard to stand out from the people who were there. It's not even really just trying to stand out. I'm not necessarily competing with other people. I'm competing against myself. I always want to be better than I was the day before. I want to keep improving, and I want to keep improving just over and over again. I'm never going to reach a point in my career where I feel I've hit a level of mastery and I don't have to get better, which is a good thing. It's a good quality to have. It can just really spiral out of control if not contained. And that's likely a large part about why my last place just didn't work out. I hired on, likely underpaid, and I just kept doing more and more work. They did what they could to keep giving me raises, to keep up with how much I was always improving and the value that I was generating, but it was never enough, and I kept doing more and more. And to a point, it's just, it doesn't matter how much money you offer me. It's never going to make the amount of time and effort I'm putting in feel worth it or justified, especially for the industry I was in. Working in insurance can be a bit of a burnout anyways. It's, at least if you're like really passionate about it, like I shouldn't just outright say insurance like is boring, because some people might find it fascinating and like see real value in it and like want to do good work in it. That's just not me. I really like sciences, arts, and entertainment, and finding ways to apply the level of effort that I did for my last company into another one is there's a high likelihood that that will happen. So knowing what I've learned, and it's even before like the last place I was at, when I worked at FedEx as a package handler, I went above and beyond for that too. There was always these concepts of like the A+ wall, where you have, for those who don't know how packages reach you when using ground transportation, trucks will get to a facility where they're backed up to a door, essentially, and there is a conveyor belt that stretches into the truck. And, well, it depends on how large the truck is. If it's a 52-foot truck, then a conveyor belt will extend into the truck. If it's a 28-foot truck, it has rollers down the center of the truck, and somebody will either take the boxes out of the truck and put them on the conveyor belt that extends into the truck, or they'll put them onto the rollers and then push them down to the conveyor belt at the end. Those all go through a lot of processing, a bunch of automated stuff, and a little bit of manual stuff. and they eventually come back down to either they'll either be taken out of the system so that they can be delivered. They made it to their destination facility, or they'll continue in the system and go through a series of chutes that make the box end up going into a truck that will take it to its next destination, where another person is waiting for these boxes to come down chutes. I say waiting, that doesn't happen. You don't wait at places like FedEx and UPS. Constant box rain is what it is. And these boxes come down chutes and they land inside the truck. And a person has to manually organize them in the truck to fit as many boxes as possible by building walls. So you have to basically stack them in a way that makes you be able to build it as tall as possible without it falling over. And if you build things, people would generally know, if you like stack a bunch of boxes up on top of each other, they're going to fall over, or the likelihood that they'll fall over is very high. And by staggering them, kind of like a bricklaying method, where they're not stacked directly on top of each other, but they stagger each other, then that makes the wall a little sturdier. And there's training you can go through to learn how to do that in a very effective way when working with these trucks. It's actually kind of a lot of stuff. Like, a part of me is like, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that and see kind of how it's done, because like, as a person on the outside, I'm just like, why can't you get this thing to me? When after working there for a bit, you realize it's like, okay, like, it could be that the difference between me getting it today and me getting it tomorrow is just whether or not like somebody could actually physically fit the box into the truck that it was associated to. If it doesn't, then that has to go into another truck to the same destination, and that might mean it has to wait another day. And that's not really on the loader's fault. The word for the type of person who would put the boxes together, that's a loader, and the people who would take it off are unloaders. Very very self-explanatory. It's not really on them, because just the number of boxes that come down are out of their control. And if they can't fit, they can't physically fit that many in there, then they have to be put in another truck. And that stuff is controlled by other people making decisions. Really, it's those people, by trying to overestimate how many boxes should be able to fit into this truck, or just a bunch of other circumstances that can be there. It could be running up against like a shift end or something too, where like your box could have gotten there, it got like held up at another part of the facility, and it came down a chute like right as soon as a shift ended. And at that point, you're kind of like, well, why couldn't the loader just do like this one little thing? Where they can't. Like, they're just not supposed to. Like, we're told that like as soon as we're done with our shift, we go clock out. FedEx does not like paying. I'm sure UPS as well does not like paying you more than they already are. So they're already upset that they're paying you for the amount of time it takes you to walk from your truck to the little kiosk to punch out. They want you to, as soon as they're done, as soon as those 4 hours are done, you're done. Doesn't care if you have a little bit more. Doesn't care like whose package that is sitting there on the floor of this truck unaccounted for right now. You're done. Just leave. I don't know why I got into a really big discussion about how boxes work, or how package handling works. Suffice to say, I got pretty embedded into the system, learned how to do really good wall building. I started doing unloading as well, and they're like, you unload really fast, you load really fast, and you make really amazing walls. I got like whatever employee of the month thing was a few times while I was there, and I did so well, they were like, you shouldn't even be in here anymore. Like, you're either going to be a manager or you're going to be doing something else. Do you want to be a yard switcher? And they taught me how to drive trucks. So one of those things I never thought I'd do is I know how to drive a semi-ish truck. And I know how to back up 28 foot and 53 foot trailers to doors, because you need to know how to do that really well. And if you leave gaps, people can get hurt, and it's a big deal. And I learned how to do that in the friggin' worst weather of all time, winter in Chicago. Awesome. Super duper fun. But that's just like, it doesn't really matter where I'm at, whether it's insurance, whether it's in the gaming space, whether it's environmental education, whether it's package handling at FedEx. I have to understand that how I work is I need to put my entire self into something, and I have the capacity to do other things. I just have to gauge it really well. And for people who are in a lucky situation like the one I'm in right now, like there are probably, like, I'm extremely lucky and likely very privileged to be able to have a concern that's essentially I have too many options. And one of them is very risky and wouldn't be an accessible option to a lot of people, but I have it. And one of those things can be to combine both of these things. And if you're in a situation similar to that and you want to try it, well, you could use something that I used today that was like a catch-all for convincing yourself to do anything, which is you only live once, might as well give it a shot. I could have done that for just doing the new job thing, just doing the new business thing, for doing both of them together, and I use them for doing both of them together. So you can use that blanket statement to convince yourself. That one's helpful enough for getting over a hurdle. But the second more important one is really take inventory in how you work. Because if you are somebody like me, then you're going to try really hard at whatever you're doing. Like, it's not even necessarily to stand out. It's just to feel like you're using your time effectively, which is really the best way I can describe it for anything that I've been doing. It's like, if I'm here doing a job, I want to be doing as good of a job as possible. And if people want to reward me for it, cool. But I'm really just here to do a good job. That's all I want to do. I just want to do a good job. Understand that that's how you work. And know that you don't have to do that all the time. So the effort that I put into every single one of my jobs throughout my career, I never had to do that much. It was always an option. Everyone's gauge of what your all is, your all, giving 100%, is different. And understanding when you've fulfilled your requirements for who you're working for is a pretty important skill. One that I obviously don't have, that I need to work on. And I know I need to, especially if I want to work on two things that kind of matter to me. Like, I really like stability, and I like being able to help my family be able to afford a comfortable living situation. I like that. I like being able to be a contributor there. And I also like the industry that could enable me to do that. There's really nothing bad about that situation, other than I have this other really cool thing that I want to do, that I feel like I have the skill set to be able to make a really good contribution to just the greater world in general, or even just like my local sphere, to enable better environmental education. Like, I want to succeed at that too. And even if I do want to do both, I have to recognize that the way I currently approach working then is not feasible. That if I do want to try both of these out at the same time, I have to evaluate how I work, how we just did, and how that needs to change to enable me to do both of these things, which is what I'll be doing this weekend. Ta-da. But I wanted to share a bit of that thought process. So, like, I guess, like, roughly 5 to 8 minutes of this video was everyone here learning how package handling works, so you're welcome. But beyond that, hopefully people who like putting a lot of effort into things that they care about, and even not necessarily things that they care about, but just what they're currently doing. If they're doing a task and your like default mindset isn't just barely get it done, it's do it to the best of your ability. If you're like that, understand that that's where you're coming from, and know that in order to unlock your greatest potential and putting your effort into all the things that you want to put it in, it will require you to understand that on a level that you're currently not understanding. If you're where I'm at, if you're beyond where I'm at, feel free to fast forward to the next few years of this channel if I'm still posting things, and you'll likely be wherever that's at. But I did kind of want to throw that out here. It does kind of go along with this whole what I'm doing with a business thing. And I still don't know if I'm going to take the offer. I'm leaning toward yes, but I don't know yet. And I'll probably be talking about whether or not I did in the coming few videos. So something to look forward to maybe. But understanding that even if you are in a situation where you can take that risk, there are still opportunities that can come your way that you really want to be a part of. And you have to recognize how you work and how you can balance the things that you want to work on to be able to do the things that you ultimately want to do. Because in the end, it is kind of true. Like, you only have one life, and you want to do as many neat things as you can. And there are going to be overlapping things, and you're ultimately the one who has to understand what your limits are. Limits are the word that I was looking for this entire time and couldn't think of it. Cool. So yeah, knowing your limits, how to measure them well, and how to keep them in check. I definitely didn't have to work as hard as I did at FedEx, but I did, and learned how to make A+ walls and make a bunch of people happy, and I got to learn how to drive a truck. So moral of the story is, I guess, work really hard to learn how to drive a truck. Not in code. I don't think there's any career path where you become senior enough to be trusted to drive a truck. No, probably not. Anyway, hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I don't know why I did this at you. I apologize. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. And continue having a wonderful weekend. And we will catch you in the next one. See ya.